Ooh,
Hello.
hello. I just like you guys are like completely silent. It's like you guys are like on mute, and I'm like I don't want to be rude, so I'm like hi. That's good.
No, my mic's on push the button. So.
I see. That explains it. That explains it. So is Toucan kind of just silent? He just likes to watch.
Yeah, seems like I don't know. Last time I checked, having a dinner, but I don't know if he's back or he decided to just take a break.
I see. I see. Mr. Hey. Yeah, I just need someone to talk to once in a while because like
Yeah, alright.
because it's
I
like
can talk, dude. I'm a bit talkative, so I try to control it.
yeah, I'm a little talking to myself. Well, it's weird. I used to be a hermit before this until I discovered Discord and kind of got talking in chat and seeing the Ethan Becker server just like always having someone going on, which is always great to talk to because I'm always looking for artists to talk to because it's like always because honestly I can really relate to artists much more easily than to like a person that I random person on the street.
Yeah, that's true.
It just feels like it because there's something to talk about. It's just it's easier to talk about something and it's just it's much more easier to kind of like talk with the person in the creative field.
I understand
It's-
what you're saying, right? But at the same
'Cause
time,
it's like-
when you have to talk, you try to support yourself like I do. But I bet you don't talk too much, or else you'll be, understood as a real motherfucker.
Yeah, I know. I know that. Yeah, I kind of in some servers they kind of took my. I've actually I've actually learned more social skills through. I think I've managed to learn more social skills through Discord than actual real life because it's like it's like I just never get to talk to anyone and it's like there's just a huge gap between a number like my there's just a huge gap between people of my normal people I like walk around in school. Like in high school I was just always it was always felt awkward because I just couldn't strike a conversation with my same age group. It was just always like I just related to artists much more easier and it's much more something to talk about so I can break the ice and it's not as difficult than talking to this guy who like hey man, hey bro, and he's a black shirt, he has like the obey hat and he's like a skateboarder. I'm like, hey,
Wearing
like,
a fucking beanie
hey.
hat.
Yeah, beanie hat. Yep, you know what I'm talking about.
Sweaty
Skateboarder.
armpits.
Maybe, yeah, something like that. Yeah, that's just like there's just like a huge gap between me and a skateboarder, and there's just a huge gap between me and an athlete. Don't get me wrong, athletes are fine. It's just it's like I could talk about art a lot more with an artist. They can understand me better. It's like there's like a kind of immediate connection with that. Anyway, I just kind of came here because it was like. I'm a writer. Actually, I'm a writer by trade, but I'm also an artist. I started writing first, and then I did art. Like
I've been
I kind of got into art.
a year now. I started at 22nd July 2019. I never drew as a kid, right? So it's been a long ride, but yeah, I'm having fun.
Yeah, I see. By the way, Coffee, you're rocking it. You're really rocking it. That's some good. That's some
My
good
guy
crap
is
right
insane,
there.
dude.
Oh man, I'm actually struggling right now.
Same here. Every artist struggles in any ways there.
Oh yeah, you always people describe like I've heard. By the way, I've heard talk to professionals before. Like I might not be professionals. I mean, guys who've been in and out of the industry. Like actually, no, one person in and out of the industry. I took lessons. He was teaching me. You ever guys heard of Crash? Like Crash Bandicoot?
Actually no.
You haven't heard
Yes,
of
I
that?
did. Yes, I.
Well, I met
one.
Well, I actually met I met the character design artist for Crash, who made all the characters. He made Crash. He made all the characters in the game, and he basically got a big start for the game. Before he came there, it was like they didn't know what they're kind of making. They were just like, Sony was like, let's make a game. Let's make a interactive, like, revolutionary experience. And they're like, and anyway, about this guy, he told me about he kind of told me, he described, actually most people describe the skill, like writing skills as like a mountain. Basically, you have an endless like with art, it's like almost an endless mountain of skill that you can learn, and you just keep climbing that mountain.
Yes. We never satisfied.
You're never satisfied. Honestly, it's just like an endless mountain, and you can.
So
That's the other word you put in it. Yep.
What?
What genre do you write?
I'm let me explain this right now. I used to write fan fiction, and kind of got a little pissed on how my show, the show I was writing fan fiction for, I was super irritated about how the direction they went with it, and I'm like, I'm gonna make my own story, and I'm like, in a fit of rage, I just started pitching. I was just like, in between classes, I was like thinking of this world, and I was thinking like, pitching ideas in my head, and just like, like I kind of like morphed into this like new, like original story that I end up creating. So to really basically summarize it, it's sci-fi. It's a sci-fi genre.
Oh, that's a good genre.
Yeah, it is. It's just my ideas. It's I have talked to a guy who's kind of knows business in general, and especially the business industry of the entertainment industry. And he gave me his opinion, and I just recently through Discord I just met him, and he knew he was talking about. I could definitely tell he knew he was talking about, because I have heard similar things from similar people. So it's like, it's kind of like I was taking his word, and I'm taking his word for it. He told me that my ideas were risky. He actually, in general, he told me the entertainment industry is very risky in general, and I could agree with that. That's like you've heard so many people like ruin their careers.
The funny thing is, everything has some kind of risk, right?
There is some kind of risk, but the entertainment industry itself there is a lot more risk, less than other jobs. You could there's more risk in entertainment, because you understand it's a very competitive field, and on top of that, it's people, you're looked at by so many people, and if you have just like a smidge of dirt on your you, they'll tear you apart over it. And for example, if I posted some of the stuff I was writing about in my first draft, I think, and if I were to go to the industry, if I was in the industry right now, and they were looking at everything they could find on me, and they found that, it would seriously not look good. And it's like, the stuff you post is, especially like, you have to think before you post. And I'm like, I'm glad I didn't post it, because I was because I didn't get around to it, because it was just like I was just starting out with the first chapters, and the first chapters, nothing really goes to happen. It was pretty like benevolent. But anyway, but I have a lot of, now I'm realizing kind of like how sensitive my situation, if I were to go into the industry, would be. Even if I did YouTube or stuff like that, there'll be still a lot of risk, because there's a lot of risk. Well, yes, but you're right. There is a lot of risk with everything. But there's like, I think a business major guy, like, who runs businesses, would have a better time finding a job than a guy who does, let's see here, I think will have a better time finding something than a storyboard artist. with not that much experience, like, because in the industry it's very competitive, and it's like there's so many people going into the art industry, and I can agree with that. There's a lot of people who love doing art, and they want to, and basically, and I've heard stories of people saying that art, like when you work for art or when you do art for work, it takes the fun out of it, and I could see that. I could see that. I could understand why that I could understand why, but I'm gonna go for it anyways and see what happens. It's it's like I'm just reaching for the stars here. But anyway. Yeah, but anyway, go back to my story. I came here because I needed someone to. It's weird. I try to when I write story before I could write stories like nonstop. Like you could catching me like writing something down for my first draft, but when I got to my later drafts, I started to get more trying to refine it more and try to give it more substance. Now it's kind of more, it has more thought into it, and I'm kind of like there's a lot more kind of going on, so it's a little more, it's not as easy, and not to mention I'm trying to learn from my mistakes. But I never described you my story actually. So let me briefly describe my story. It's about a teenage boy who's there, like who has social issues, who's depressed, and then I'm sorry, I'm saying the then a lot, but he gets a little girl from a little sister from outer space. Like, I know, and so that's basically the plot line. Like, basically, this teenager who is depressed. He gets a little sister from outer space, like an only child who ends up getting a little sister from outer space. That's basically the whole idea of the book that kind of expands on it. Like, think of like it's gonna be like an ET situation where he kind of has to basically he really cares about this little girl, and he kind of ends up like kind of taking her in as like a more, she looks at, and he's like a father figure to her. It's kind of like this going to be this like very like kind of like but a serious, have a serious tone, but very but have like a very wholesome tone to it. Like it's a tone, it's dark, but at the same time it has like a little bit of a wholesome tone to it, because it like because I'm not like in the, there's no cussing, there's no sex. It's very like but at the same time it deals with serious like issues. Like the main character, he has serious issues, and that's like basically besides the main character has serious issues, and he has depression, and those are really like dark, really serious topics that couldn't be covered in a cartoon, like in a kid's show. So I'm like basically I'm aiming for a more teenage audience, but but the issue with that is like the teenage, like most business they just, in the United States market, it's very like a lot of people don't like there's not a lot of people who like cartoons. It's like they think it's like regulated to children, and when it is adult, like for example, I'll give you an example. Family Guy, Rick and Morty, all these other shows, they're just like over the top, like nasty, disgusting, very over the top, and very like using shock value to gain their viewers, which is so, I think it's insane. Like, and I think it's a lot of people dislike that. I think if we had, I think something in between that, like between a kid show and a adult show would be perfect, because I think adult cartoons are just way over the top. They're just like super like they're trying to be like disgusting and like overly bloody, gory, and explicit, and shock value. it's just like I don't like it. Like that's why I don't watch Family Guy the whole entire three. I can't watch an episode of Family Guy all the way through. Rick and Morty, that's a little bit different. I can watch that. That's it. Just depends. But I didn't get started on it until later after season 2 or season 3. After season 2 or season 1, it was just I thought the show was just another like over the top gory show, but it's. I think it has a kind of a thing going, which it's kind. I think but it was kind of like that was the point, and it was kind of like basically it was not. What I mean, it's kind of the point. Like Family Guy, they do it because of viewers. Here's a cutaway. They're really cute with their humor. It's like I like some of their jokes, but all the episode because some of it because the plot of the episode would be just like over the top and just stupid. But with Rick and Morty, it kind of has like some like once in a while it has some idea to the story of it has like some curious like some serious character moments where Rick is like he's a like a atheist asshole who think he's God. I'm God, Morty. And then other times he's like he break down drunk I really care about you, Morty. You're like this son I'd ever had.
that sums up a lot of it.
Yeah. So it's like adult cartoons are just I think they're just weird. And I think it's just like. Honestly, I just wanted a more serious. I wanted a cartoon that was more serious tone because the limits. Because anime has proved like I think animation is like is one of like the mediums where you could take it anywhere. You can take it anywhere you want because it's like because there's no limits to animation. Like it was like in Japan, I think Japan really understands art really well. Like you ever listen to jazz from Japan? It's really good.
Yeah, it is.
Like, it's really good. Like Japan jazz. Like jazz started here, but Japanese picked it up there, and it's like, whoa, it's actually pretty darn good. It's like even better than American jazz. And it's like, and they understand. And another thing is weird is that they understand like the animation medium so much better. I kind of disagree with some of the cliches over there, but besides that, there's a lot of like great examples of great animation done over there, and the stories they tell with the characters are very are not limited to the show. It's like whatever's stopping them is how good of a writer you are. Like here, it's like over here, it's like you have to kind of work with you got, and it's like if you have to work with you got, and there's so many limitations you can do with animation, and if it doesn't and if it's like it's such a turn off for everyone, like for a cartoon to be so for an adult cartoon to be so like adults are so turned off by cartoons. They wanted everything to be live action, even when live action is just like, I think there's so many problems that comes with live action. Like live action, not only is it more expensive, but it has so many. Like, let me give you an example. One of the little sister I'm talking about, she's 3 years old. Mm-hmm. If I were to get, there would be 2 ways I could pull it off. One, I take my chances and I hire a 3-year-old and try to make her talk, but that's like a balance. That's never gonna work. I think that'll be a total crap show. Or it's the best option, CG, which by the way that would never work. That would be again. That'll be even worse. That'll be kind of like again. That's one of the parts where you're like. That could work, but it's just like no, it's weird. Like, might as well just make it all animated if you're gonna do that, because it's like because the character sticks out so much when it's like in CGI backgrounds. When it comes to with CGI backgrounds and with a realistic background with CGI, it just looks weird.
It does
and it's just like,
actually.
and you could
It's
kind of, and you could spot it really
accelerated.
easily. It's been getting better over the years, but it's been getting better over the years, but still, you could kind of tell if you have a real back, if you have a real like set in like natural lighting, and you try to do a CG character, it's not easy. Like, it's not at all easy. And it's like, and not to mention, like, there's so many other factors when it comes to bringing a character to life in CG. And it kind of, not to mention how the computer fills in the character on screen, it makes it look more bright. Like if you see CG, like even like even, I'm not expecting to have a huge budget. Like if I even have like got a huge budget for the CG character, it would be still, even a good CG you could kind of tell. And it's like, and when it's like, and if you don't know what you're doing, you need to marvel that crap. You need to marvel-nize like a character, or like you need to be very, very careful. You need to know your stuff when you're doing CG. It's not, I need like a whole team just for that little girl. And it would be, and not only would it be expensive, it would just be impractical. I was like, and I wanted to be in animation because there's something about animation that you could do anything in there,
Yeah,
and it's just super.
Industry, by the way, so, I mean, I'm into animation. I do animation, right?
Yeah, it's like it's just. Yeah, go ahead.
It takes a lot of time, you know.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time, but still, like film. Filmmaking can be. I think filmmaking can be just as time. It can be just when it comes. Well, actually, animation. Well, either way, someone's gonna have to draw that little girl because I'm not getting a live actor. That's just crazy. Not like I don't want a little girl like freaking out on set, going, "Mother!" You know. And it's like,
Well, no.
and I'm putting my head, my knees to my nose. I'm like, ugh.
You cover your face and you're like,
Sarah,
you do.
can you like, Sarah, get Sarah in here, and then the mother comes on, and comforts the kid. It's just like, it was just like so many reshoots, and it'd be so painful. So so someone has to animate that character, because it's never gonna work if it's gonna be a real live actor. That's just, it'll be a nightmare. It'll be worse than using a cat. Like I've seen how impractical using a cat is. Like if you use a cat, because a cat, unlike a dog, you can't train a cat. And this is actually, a kid is even more is even worse. Don't get me started. But anyway, I know it's so time consuming, but it's just worth it. It just feels like you could, with the time you can do with CG, with animation, it just feels so worth it to see bring a fictional character to life, especially with sense.
I mean,
just like you.
I mean, my art style is mainly Japanese animation, like Japanese style, right? The anime style.
Yeah, I see.
So, I mean, it's not developed yet. I'm just a 1 year or 1.5 year artist, right? But what I've learned is, there's a lot of like brainstorming going on in every frame they draw, right, of an animation. And like, these guys are the hardest working motherfuckers who get you underpaid, like the Japanese animators.
Yeah. Yeah, the animation industry in both Japan and the United States is ridiculous. They like even the so basically the keyframe artists or the storyboard artists, they don't get the appreciation of animation students who get a job in animation are just like they're doing it because they think because they want to do it. No one gets into animation for the money. It's just not that, the pay is not that great.
The funny thing is, like, they are getting what they love the most, alright? They're getting to do what they love the most. But
Yeah.
at the same time, people are pulling them and you understand this, right? That happens all over the world, like, because, alright, if someone says you're getting into this fucking industry, your art will be displayed on major studios and TVs, or maybe, you know, like some animations, or maybe even a movie, right? And like, you go on thinking like, okay, I'm finally being able to go mainstream, but you'll be happy with that, right? Because you have the feeling that you are going mainstream. But at the same time, the guy who is saying you that like you're gonna do something big is fooling you and underpaying you, while he's gaining all the profit from your work. And that's the case.
Pretty much. Yeah, I've heard it. It's they you know that artist I was talking about. He shared me his experience in the industry, and basically he was so unappreciated. Like he'd never got a lot of credit. Like when he started, he didn't get any credits. Like he didn't even get a credit in the stuff he was working in. Like he didn't get even a credit in the credits. It's like and that doesn't even cost anything. That's like you know, it's like saying it's like forgetting about someone, and all you're doing is just getting paid. Like the main thing in the industry, you're doing what you love, but all you're doing is just getting paid. Like most of the time, like they don't like even if you don't get, and usually when you do get paid, it's like the stuff like they're so unappreciated. Like they do so much, and when they do, and they usually the only thing they really get is pay because you have to pay them. It's just a requirement. You have to pay them. But when it comes to like the credits, and you know, like for example, if they choose particular people be in the interviews of like the, you know, special features and all that. They interview the director and the actors first. Actually, they mostly interview the actors and they don't interview they don't really usually sometimes it's the director, but mostly the actors and some of the maybe some background artists or you know, background artists, but they never choose the like other people who do the more like the smaller stuff. And actually I think the screenwriters don't get any attention. Like it's ridiculous how little screenwriters get attention. Like you would imagine them being being interviewed every day, but no, it's like the actors get interviewed every day. It's like people falling in love with these actors, but don't really pay attention to the screenwriters who actually make the characters. It's like it just feels. I don't know why, really. It's like because it's like I would, you know, honestly, I would love to, like, I think I would love going in front of a camera for like after I do when I'm doing my screenwrite and my story. I would love to go in front of the camera and say, yeah, you know, I would describe the characters and break them down for everyone. Like it would just be and it'd be much more interesting than the voice actor's interpretation. Like it's they basically the voice actors are interpreting my interpretation, and it's and you're like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's true.
Ugh. I know. I think
You want me to stream what I'm drawing right now?
oh sure, why not? Sure. Wait. Everyone's at their own pace. I didn't start. I look. If you look at my drawings, they're god awful. It's not bad. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm drawing this katana for my character. So yeah, I designed this. You know, this says in the flame.
The arc of the sword is a little wobbly, but
it's
okay.
You know? I couldn't make it straight. I tried it like 10 times. You know, I'm not good with my, you know, like the.
Are you using your wrist? Are you using your wrist?
No, I'm using my arm, dude.
Oh no! When you do like, you know, arcs like that, you're better off doing your wrist. So, doing your something like that. Yeah. Use your that's how animators that's how, you know, that's how animators like you know, like when you're that's how animators like inkers, you know, ink the ink drawings, you know, in cartoons. They use their wrists to get those like smooth like shapes and curls. And in sketching, people they always use their wrist because you know, it comes out really so much more smoother because your hand, the sensitivity of your hand in you know, doing a straight line is a curved line is so particular. Like you can, it's, you know, it's very, it's like you have to be really, it's like impossible with if you. It's better off to use your wrist or rely on the computer to do it. Like to you know, point there, put there. It's like, you know, to make it straight that way.
Draw straight line pretty much, right? The other thing is,
Yeah, but you know, it's just like, you know, you could kind of tell when you look at, you know, fine tuning, but it looks good, fine. It looks good enough. I think it looks good enough. I think redrawing it was not probably the best idea, but it looks pretty good. I think it looks pretty good. It's not. I think it's.
This area is
It's definitely.
kind of wobbly, right? This area over here. This area.
Yeah, it is a little wobbly. Actually, I think it's a kind of. If you look at it's the whole sword kind of feels a little like that, but honestly, you put so much detail in it. I'm not gonna bother with. I wouldn't bother with it because it's like it's so much detail. Like, honestly, I think the detail. It looks pretty awesome though. It still looks pretty awesome.
This is still a better version. It's not the you know, like the final cut. And I'm just, you know, like giving a brainstorm thing, you know. This is
So like.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. Like, I detect it. I detect accent. So, are you from like? Wait, let's see here. I'm gonna. You sound like. Are you like Middle Eastern?
Yeah, I'm from Nepal.
Oh, Nepal. Okay, that makes sense. Oh, okay, Nepal. Oh, Nepal. Like, sweet, lovable Nepal. Sweet, lovable Nepal. Yeah, it's like.
Nepal is not lovable. It's shit. This country is shit. I'm
Is it cold over there?
No. I mean, you know, politically it's a fucking disaster.
It's like what?
It's a ruckus politically. You know?
Oh, politically, okay. Well, I live in America. I live
Biden is
over
there
here.
now, so it's a good time, I guess. But he's also a fucking jerk, I guess. I don't know.
America right now is going through some turmoil politically too. Even when, you know, we're yeah, America, yeah. We're going to I want my big gulp down at the gas station. I'm America. I have a huge like America flag. Yeah, America.
Oh
boy.
Banana.
Yeah. So anyway.
What a very
Banana. Yeah, I know. You after you talk for so long, you kind of like you lose your voice.
I don't know much, you know, like I've been practicing what coffee exercise, like, you know, he has told me to learn like anatomy, right? So
What you're drawing right now, you don't need anatomy for
I mean,
a sword.
This is something else, right? But it's like I don't do this like normally. I've been practicing anatomy, you know, like yeah, I mean,
Really to understand, like, I think really you kind of like anatomy is something that is kind of like a step, like really it kind of like comes down like really like when it comes, you kind of have to go for steps first. Like first step, like the first and very first step is draw, like start drawing and see where you're at, and then like, you know, just keep on drawing what you love, and just like keep on drawing, and then move to sketching, which basically you use you kind of like you just sketch. You kind of you lightly put your pencil down and you just sketch it out, like do a rough. It's like basically a rough version of your drawing, and you kind of do erase the things that and kind of like shape it up in a sketching. Like it's kind of like sketching could be is like the equivalent is kind of like, and you can mold, and when you do sketching you kind of can mold pictures into your liking, and you can and it can like it's kind of like you can just I lost my train of thought. You could just like sculpt things, and then later on, then you get to anatomy, and then you get to the construction, drawing all the way through, understanding, kind of going through putting things into practice, stuff like that. That's when you kind of get to anatomy. But as soon as you can start sketching and start doing some of the learning some of the techniques of of drawing, then you can kind of get to the part with anatomy. It's just because there's a lot to drawing, especially when it kind of drawing itself. Line art is another thing. Line art is even worse. Line art is actually a separate thing.
The funny thing is, not every kind of art style needs line art, right?
True, actually.
Our sensei, coffee art doesn't need line art at the final stage.
He's
right?
painting. He's painting.
So mine is I need line art because I want it to look like it's the forest in between the color, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, true. There are styles without line art. Yes, there's definitely styles without line art. You're right.
Mine is based on the animation industry.
Anime has line art.
Yeah, it
mostly.
Has a lot of line art.
Most.
It depends on line art heavily.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah, it does. Like most TV show or movies usually have line art. Without line art, it's the one, there's only a few exceptions. Most animations have line art. It's the most easiest way to convey the edge of a person, and I've only seen a few I've only seen one big movie that hasn't done line art in their characters, and that was Krampus. That one international Netflix movie that actually was really good. The story was good, the animation was beautiful, and it was a really it felt like Disney. It was on par with Disney, especially in since how it's how the animation looks for and how the animation looks for 2D. It looks so much like 3D, but it looks but it's done by 2D, which is very impressive. That is a very impressive feat they did, and it was a really impressive. It was a really impressive and good movie. It took basically the things about 2D animation that I liked, using the thing with 2D. I think 2D is there's simplicity in the lot. Actually, I've heard from different people saying about 2D, talking about 2D and 3D. 3D was kind of catching up to 2D in the 2010s, and now 3D is kind of on par with 2D in a lot of aspects. But I think, but 2D has still has. I think 2D has this raw has raw potential. Always has raw potential, but you need there's more. I think there's a lot more skill involved. I think there's a lot more.
Yeah, it's a lot.
There's skill involved in 2D that is kind of more traditional, and basically the skill involved in 3D is much more technological. There is still animation, but mostly mostly the skill is involved is in like sculpting the characters and rigging the characters in a 3D computer, and it's and really it's I did and in 2D it's kind of like valuing the kind of like art of like traditional hand-drawn animation. Like even when it's digital on a computer, there is still that skill of an animator kind of making things feel 3D. Like despite them not being 3D and 3D, they use 2D pictures to make it feel the sense of 3D-ism. And it's like it's kind of like there's that skill involved in 2D that makes it, and also the kind of like the simplicity in lines that doesn't work in 3D has the advantage of adding so much detail.
Like they can rig a character,
2D,
but they don't need to draw frame by frame, in animation. 3D is a lot easier than 2D. Not gonna lie.
3D.
Yeah. 3D is a lot easier than 2D. Trust me, I've done it. Right.
I don't. That's not really not necessarily. It's 3D. Okay, so if you like 3D, kind of like basically you're kind of what it is that a lot of work is done by the modelers, and when you have a model done, and basically the background is done, then you could like, and also a bunch of other things, but still, it like the kind of complexity of the skill involved in with 3D and against 2D. 2D is more traditional kind of skill. The kind of traditional skill that you learn with like practice and error. 3D is more of like telling the computer what to do and to kind of have a 3D and to understand like how you understand motion as an animator and telling the computer what to do and to like kind of like use kind of tabs to construct a character. It's there's definitely a lot of unlike there is the same kind of aspects in 2D, but 2D you're kind of like spending a lot more time drawing each individual frame and kind of like basically there's simplicity in lines. That's what I was getting. Simplicity with 3D there's simplicity with lines, but with actually no 3D but 2D there's simplicity with lines. Like you could dot there and draw a upside down one line and you got a face, but with 3D you can't do that. It just looks awful. It does, like I've seen like the worst like 2D films, and they just like, and when you see a bad 3D film and when you see a bad 2D film, you think the 2D film is not as looking wise, it's not as bad. Like it kind of like the 2D film kind of tends to kind of look not as like ugly as a 3D film, a bad 3D film. Like a bad 3D film kind of like, when you don't know how to do a model, it's even worse because there's some more simplicity in lines in 2D rather than 3D. In 3D, there's a lot more skill involved with the models, which it's kind of like that's why like things. That's why in the 90s, like 3D films were not that great because of the the technology at the time.
It's true.
Like even Pixar, when they were on a like very young stage, their film like some of their character models look god ugly. Like their short films, they look so god awful. And it's like, and that was Pixar. Now they're like the top of the industry. They're the top dogs. Like Pixar is like the most. They're the top dogs in the industry. Despite them like, and basically Disney is just taking a back seat, and they're like, yeah, just get us money. Like Disney's like sitting back in the corner, like, good job, you outdo yourself again, do it again. And they're like, all right, we'll try something else. They're like always going to say, okay, we'll try something else. Okay. I think Pixar. I preferred their kind of earlier works. Like I liked the first Incredibles. I liked Monsters Inc. I loved I love those films as a kid, and their later films I'm not as liking as much. They're kind of like
They've gone
like
lazy,
so,
dude,
I didn't even Soul because it just looked, I don't know, it just looked to me, I just didn't like how the direction of how everything looked. It just like, also it just felt like the animation looked kind of like, it just looked, it didn't feel like it felt like it was like, it didn't feel like, you know, like solid like the other. It didn't feel like I don't know, it didn't attract me as much. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't watch it, so I can't really judge it too much. But still, just like impressions, it just I just don't like the concept. It just, the Soul itself, the concept of it. It just, I don't know. I don't really find it appealing. But anyway, I've been talking about, you know, the industry and all that, but I haven't really talked about my book. That's why I came. That's what I came here for, to talk about my book, because it's like, I've gotten advice, and I'm trying, like I said, it's a sci-fi, and one person pointed out to me that I really should put, you know, hints of what is there to come, like in the, you know, into the inciting incident. By the way, the inciting incident is where everything changes for our characters. Like right now, I'm just introducing the characters and understanding, you know, their motivation. You know, you're just understanding what they are and what they're all about. And basically, I'm like, she was like saying, before this inciting incident, you really need to set up that there is going to be aliens in your book. Like because I'm gonna have aliens on later on my book, so I need to kind of set that up later on.
Yeah, you have to do.
Yeah, I know, that's really necessary, and kind of like, I did went back and actually made room for it. Like I had a grammar error, so I kind of like shoehorn it in, and right now I'm like trying to figure out what I say, because there's a lot of my character. I have a lot of internal dialogue with the character. Like he's talking to himself a lot, and it's like, you know, we're learning through his thoughts. And now, don't get me wrong, they're not, you know, they have, you know, points where other characters talk to him, and we kind of have dialogue exchanges. It's just, you know, I'm at a part where
I get what you're saying.
right now I'm like at a part where, so he, okay, didn't have any fun. Okay, that's not I didn't have any before. School was built on. Okay, yeah, that was set. So I kind of like, I kind of finish off a paragraph, and then I'm kind of going on to another paragraph, and it's like, right now I'm trying to